Someone
Sure.
asks you a favor. You don't want to say yes. Your whole body resists, but your mouth opens anyway. Sure, of course, no problem. And the second it's out, you hate yourself for it, because you just traded your integrity now for a moment of peace. This isn't a personality flaw. It's not weakness. It's not being too nice. Your brain learned to do this, and it learned for one reason: survival. I'm Tim. I dig into peer-reviewed research most psychology channels skip. Today we're going deep on one of the most misunderstood trauma responses in psychology. Why your brain says yes when every part of you screams no. Why people-pleasing is a trauma response, not a character trait. And what nobody tells you about breaking out of it. You've heard of fight or flight. Your brain detects a threat. Your body prepares to fight it or run from it. But there's a third response, and a fourth. Psychologist Pete Walker named them freeze and fawn. Freeze means go still, become invisible, disappear into the background until the threat passes. Fawn means something different. Fawn means make the threat happy, agree with it, serve it, become whatever it needs, so it doesn't hurt you. You are not freeze, you are fawn. And fawn is harder to spot because it looks like kindness. Here's what's terrifying about this. Your brain doesn't know the threat is gone. It's still running that program, right now, in your body. Every time someone asks you for something, your nervous system fires like it's a threat, not a request, a threat. The fawn response kicks in before you can think. Your stress system fires before you even form a thought. Your mouth is already moving. This is fawn response psychology, and it is running your decisions without your permission. Here's what the research shows. Most chronic people pleasers grew up in environments where saying no didn't feel safe. Homes where a parent's mood was something you had to predict. Where conflict wasn't a disagreement, it was a punishment. Where being small meant being safe. Research on adverse childhood experiences, ACES, shows that over 70% of adults with chronic people-pleasing patterns carry a history of these environments. Your brain didn't malfunction. It learned the rules of your world. And then, it never unlearned them. But here's the part that rewrites everything. You don't need a dramatic childhood to develop this response. Attachment researcher John Bowlby showed that children instinctively shape themselves to stay close to caregivers. Any caregiver who responded with anger or withdrawal to a child's no trained that child's nervous system that disagreement equals abandonment. That saying no means being left. You carry that equation into every adult relationship. Your partner asks you something. Your boss makes a request. A friend needs a favor. Your brain's alarm system, your amygdala, doesn't see a conversation. It sees a threat to belonging. And belonging means survival. So why you always agree, even when it destroys you, is because your brain is still protecting the child that needed to agree to survive. Now here's the counterintuitive reversal. You've probably been told you say yes too much because you care too much. Because you're generous, too empathetic. That's not what the science says. Neuroscientist Stephen Porges and his polyvagal theory showed that the fawn response is not empathy, it's threat management. When you say yes to preserve someone else's comfort, you are not being kind. Your nervous system is neutralizing a perceived threat using appeasement as the weapon. You are not giving. You are hiding. Let that land for a moment. Every time you say yes and you don't mean it, you're not being a good person. You're performing safety. And here's the cost of that. A 2022 study in Frontiers in Psychology linked chronic people-pleasing to significantly elevated cortisol levels. The stress hormone linked to anxiety, immune suppression, and accelerated cellular aging. Saying yes when you mean no is not just emotionally draining, it's physiologically damaging. Your body is keeping score. And there's something even darker underneath this. The more you fawn, the more your prefrontal cortex gets bypassed. You practice not choosing. You rehearse self-abandonment. Every yes that cost you something re-encodes the neural pathway. Your needs don't count. Other people's comfort is more important than your truth. Over time, you don't even know what you want. Someone asks your opinion, and there's just nothing there, a blank, because you trained yourself out of having preferences. This is what nobody tells you about fear of conflict psychology. It doesn't just affect your relationships, it hollows out your sense of self. But the research shows something most people miss. The fawn response is not permanent. It is a learned threat response, and threat responses can be unlearned, not through positive thinking, not through motivation, through nervous system regulation. Your brain needs to learn that saying no does not end in disaster. It needs new evidence, small evidence, gathered one low-stakes refusal at a time. And if you don't interrupt this pattern, you will keep abandoning yourself for the rest of your life. Here's what the science actually recommends. not set boundaries. That instruction is useless to a nervous system in threat mode. Instead, start with the pause. Between the ask and your answer, insert 2 seconds of nothing. That gap is where your prefrontal cortex can come back online. Research on interoceptive awareness, your ability to sense your own body, shows that briefly scanning your physical response to a request before answering significantly reduces automatic compliance. Ask your body first. Does this feel contracted or open, heavy or light? That signal is data you've been overriding your entire life. And here's what changes when you start listening. You don't become less likable. You become more trustworthy. Because when you finally say yes, people know you mean it. Your yes becomes real. Your no becomes possible. And you stop destroying yourself just to keep the room comfortable. That's why you can't say no actually costs you. And now you know what it would take to change it. If this explains something you've felt but never had words for, send it to someone who needs to hear it too. Because most people don't even realize they've been living like this.